Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Vibing with Sleazy, the podcast. This is season 6, episode 19. I want to thank everybody for listening, tuning in, and downloading. My last episode was with the Kentucky president of hemp. The association, Dee Dee Taylor. So, very excited to have her on. It was an amazing episode filled with information, and hopefully, everybody got to listen to the two-parter about true crime in the history of Louisville down at a house in 1924, the Torture House. It was a true crime, and so it was really cool to break that down into two parts. But also want to shout out Dee Dee Taylor, talking hemp and what she does for the state and everybody. So my special guest for episode 19 is a very, very close friend of mine, somebody that I've grown up with, lived with, and it is my good friend Trevor Powell. How you doing?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me on. I just want to say, firstly, that super happy and proud of you for doing this and having all these really cool guests. And you've always had a lot of cool experiences in your life, and I think this is an amazing outlet for you. So just happy to see you continue to do this.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you saying that. I that really means a lot. It's this is something I really have a passion for. Try to schedule, try to get guests, try to figure out what to do. Sometimes pulling solo episodes out of my butt, just different things. And I'm trying to reach out to people and be like, hey, give me a topic or this. But it's been a blast. Learned something every season. Just been a lot of fun and got to network. And again, I appreciate you being on and taking the time. And thanks for also rescheduling the other day. I didn't feel well, so I'm glad
Of
we could
course.
link up. Something I'll compliment you on, something I think super cool that we're going to dive into in this episode is photography. You've always picked up random crafts and tried to do different things, different outlets, and this seems like something that you've really latched onto and you tend to really like. So I'm very proud of you on that. We're really going to dive into that. But first, let's talk sports. I mean, you and I, we're very connected on sports. We have been our whole childhood up till now. Both Kentucky Wildcat fans. Sad that they didn't make it to the title, but I was glad to see what they did, and I was excited about Pope. But let's first talk about fantasy football. So you played in multiple season leagues like everybody did, but you played in one at your complex, and you all had a different way. You were explaining to me like fantasy playoffs. So can you explain that to the audience?
Yeah. So with fantasy football this year, like the other league that we were in, basically the top six people that made the playoffs, we did like a redraft style. So first of all, it was auction style, and it's the first league I've done that's auction style for a draft, which I think is a really unique way to play. You get $200 and in play money pretty much, and then you start bidding on players. And so you do that for your initial team. You get through the regular season, and at the end, we actually redraft with the teams that are left in the playoffs. And so whatever teams left, we do a snake draft, and the person that finished first gets first pick, and it just goes on from there. And basically, once you set your team, you pick your players. If that team loses in the playoffs, then you lose that player for the rest of the playoffs. So you have to think about, okay, Lamar Jackson, he's on a bye, but if I think he's going to get to the Super Bowl, I might take a chance on picking him, even though he might not give me points that first week of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then you add up all those points, and whoever has the most points by the end ends up winning. So it's definitely a unique way to do it. And then even in fantasy baseball this year, man, we've switched it up a little bit to where we're doing, instead of just your head-to-head matchup, you're literally just playing you versus everybody
Mhm.
for that week. So, I think fantasy is amazing. It's so fun. You've played it forever. We've played in football together. We've played in baseball together. But when you can make some of those adjustments and add some of those changes, it just makes it a little bit more appealing.
Who's the roster that you're looking at this year for your fantasy baseball? Like, who's some of your key players?
So it's a keeper league, and so some of those top players are off the board. I kept Bryce Harper and Zach Wheeler from the Phillies. Got Mookie Betts with the third pick. So I have them, and um, I think I have a pretty good lineup. I have Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve. I mean, he cheats a lot, but as long as he doesn't get caught with the mic on, we're good.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
um, but yeah, I mean, so it's early. That's like fantasy baseball is such a grind because it's like 19 weeks of setting your lineup. But with the app, they have that like auto lineup too. So if you're busy, you hit that, sets it for the week. You keep a track and make sure your players aren't getting hurt. But um, I'm really hurt right now because I have Ozuna. I try not to draft a lot of Braves. Braves are my team, as you know. So like I try not to draft a lot of them because it makes me like a little bit more anxious for my team, and they're not doing so good right now. So I'm glad I don't have a lot of them to worry about.
what's your thoughts on the Braves and the NL East and just the way baseball is right now?
Dude, I mean, I love the changes to the rules that they're thinking about making. I don't know. I want your opinion on the what is it, the ABS system
Hmm.
for balls and strikes, how you can challenge. I don't mind those things. Some people say it's going to slow the game down. I think that it's quick and the technology's there, so we might as well get it right.
Yeah,
Um, but Brave wise, I don't know, man. It's one thing to be like, man, it's a slow start, but you play the Padres and you play the Dodgers and you get swept, and then you get the Marlins and you're like, okay, here's a chance to get a couple games. You win
yeah.
like one of those, then it's postponed. Now they're playing Philly, and you're facing Zach Wheeler. I mean, you got Chris Sale, but like if your offense isn't putting up runs, you're in a tough spot. So I don't really know what to think. It's still super early though, so
Yeah. And the
not the
NL
panic button
East
yet.
is the NL East is a league that it's usually the Phillies or Braves dominating. So it's
Yeah, and the Mets last year came around. There's a few friends here at the apartment that are Mets fans, and so they've been giving me some shit to start the season, which it hurts. But
are they big on Juan Soto? Are they real hype on Juan Soto?
yeah, I
Mm,
mean, and you better be. You paid him like
yeah,
so much money. You better hope he does well for the next few years.
for
But
sure.
yeah, it's crazy because like I feel like the Braves are still in their spot where they're a younger team or with some experience mixed, and they have the pieces. You got Acuna and Strider that aren't back yet.
Mm,
You just don't want to be too big in a hole before they get back. But I do think that they'll provide a spark. They got some young arms. Swellenbach's really good. He pitched 8 innings the other day against the Marlins, 10 Ks, didn't give up a run, and they put 10 on the board. So hopefully the bats are starting to wake up a little bit. I just don't know if it's going to happen tonight against Zach Wheeler, but again, like I said, we got some time.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And the Reds, I'm a Cincinnati Reds fans. People know, and they've had a little bit of up and down this year. I do like Francona. I hope he brings a new culture in. Hunter Green pitched a great game against the Giants the other night, and we got the 2-0 win, so I was happy about that. Hopefully, they can keep doing well on the West Coast. Great American Ballpark, dude, is almost freaking flooded with how the Ohio looks, dude. I saw the aerial picture, and it's like coming up to the outfield wall. And when we go to those games out of the Reds games, if you remember in that back of the outfield, I never put it together when it's beautiful weather, but dude, those are flood walls, so
Yeah,
it's like really protecting, what's coming in. So I'm just glad that they haven't got a lot of damage. But dude, it's an exciting season. I'm very, very shocked about the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. signing. Very happy for the guy. Great talent. I think he's a great player for the Blue Jays, but that is such a long contract, dude. That is
yeah, that seems to be how they do it. I'm not a GM, but I guess it's the way to stretch out the money. And most of the time, they're going to probably revisit those contracts and find a way to get the finances straight. But a lot of these big teams that you don't have that cap, so they can just spin, spin, spin. And I talking about the Reds and Braves just in general. That game we went to a couple years ago was probably the best baseball game I've ever seen in person.
oh,
Like
100%, dude. It was
Ellie hitting for the cycle. I mean, being able to witness a cycle is insane. There's probably 7 home runs that game. It was electric.
I'll never forget that, dude. That was the best game. Votto hitting the 2 bombs is something that I've wanted to see as a Reds fan for so long. And then Ellie to do the cycle. And the thing about it, dude, so many runs. Just Tin Roof was a blast. We get to the stadium, we're having a blast. Like me, you, and Fogel, we also were in so many different areas of the ballpark, and that's
Yeah.
what makes it so much fun, especially a Great American. Some of the bigger stadiums, bigger cities, you got to have your ass glued to your seat, or you're gonna have to stay close to your section. Dude, Great American, it's like, oh, few open seats right there. Let me pop my butt down there and we'll watch it. But yeah, dude, it was a blast. And another thing that was fun was we went up there and I don't remember what group it was. I think it was me, you, and a few others. But I just remember we saw the Pirates and Reds up there, and like McCutcheon hit a few bombs. And dude, it's just always a good time at Great American.
Yeah,
Do you,
I
do you
agree.
like going to Brave Stadium? You went to the new Turner, right?
Haven't been to Truist.
I
Mentioning
call it New
Fogel. He's
Turner.
Yeah, new Turner. Yeah, Fogel's been quite a bit there, and we're always chatting about scheduling a trip, and that's something I feel like we'll get in the books. All three of us can go there.
Oh yeah.
But going back to Turner Field, yeah, I went there, and man, like another thing is like about ballparks is I love the food and the
Oh
drinks
yeah.
that are available, and each ballpark has that unique experience. And they had the pizza burger
Ooh.
at Turner Field. I'll have to ask Sean like what the new one is at the new stadium, but the pizza burger was epic. I don't know what they have at Reds. You'll have to kind of remind me of that. But yeah,
So
that's always fun going to ballparks and just like the game's cool. I love it, but you get some crazy food combinations in there. I mean, I'm all about that.
100%, dude. Like, I'll say this. So, PNC Park, Pittsburgh, I think it's one of the most beautiful ballparks in all of baseball. They have crab fries, which are these amazing fries with like Old Bay seasoning. And they have this wing place. It's called like Quaker's State and Lube Wings, and it's popping. In Cincinnati, you got Montgomery Inn Barbecue out in right field in the corner, which is like my favorite barbecue. You got the tap line going down the third base line there, and then of course skylines all over the place. When you get up to the Sunday helmets always go hard, but like when you get to some of these other stadiums up north, they tend to have things that are like locally close and stuff. But I remember having like shrimp at Tropicana when I was down there watching them, the Rays play. I'm trying to think of some other. Out in Anaheim, the Los Angeles Anaheim Angels, they had Kona beer on draft, dude, and it was perfect for a stadium. But dude, I love some snacks. When I went to Truist Field for the Braves game, I went down there and saw the Braves play the Reds with an X, and great time, great stadium. I don't remember exactly the food, but I just remember I threw down a few glizzies. I definitely got some hot dogs. Yeah, I was like, I
Yeah,
got you. I
and
got you.
I know Corey Williams used to. I don't know if he's still going for it, but I know at one point he was going for like trying to get every ice cream helmet from every park, because I think every park has that like ice cream in the little
Yeah,
plastic helmet. I don't know
yeah.
how far he got, but we'll
Dude,
have
I'd
to.
be going to Graders, and I'm always gonna get like something bigger because the Sunday helmet is big. And if you're at the baseball stadium, you got to go with the Sunday helmet. But when you're at Graders, you want to get a big ass split or a shake or
Yeah,
something. So I always sit there and I'm like, oh man, that Sunday helmet up there looks pretty cool. There's like 10
yeah,
different teams I don't even
yeah.
give a fuck about. But I did at one time. What's hilarious, I ended up getting a bunch of Sunday helmets. I bought like a lot at a flea market or Goodwill or something, and I started turning them and flipping them. And dude, the culture of helmets is insane.
Mhm.
There's like Facebook groups. I met this guy at Speedway on Hurstbourne. Kind of creeped me out. He got a little too close. Like, hey man, what's your favorite helmet? Like he's rolling my face. I was like, bro, I'm just here to sell you the helmet, dude. But yeah, dude, he was telling me about what the gyms are. And dude, minor league helmets are hot. Like those minor league Sunday helmets, those are popular. Like the bats, they got one. Nashville Sounds had one. I know that team that's the Biscuits or whatever. Like
Oh,
that's
yeah,
a
dude,
popular.
their hats are so sick though.
Oh
Like
yeah,
they're a lot of those minor league teams, man. Like the caps are just awesome.
oh
Even Louisville bats, like their alternate, the mint juleps, those are sick.
Oh yeah, dude, those are great. They have a Mexican Heritage Night where they do a team there, then the Bourbon Barrel, which I thought that was very well designed. They ended up doing a new design for this season. It's like an alternative where the bat is holding a baseball. And it's got like a little throwback cap on, so it's pretty cool. But I'm also a fan of the classic Louisville Redbird.
Oh yeah.
That logo is sick. Did you ever go out to many of those games at Cardinal Stadium, the old one for the Redbirds?
Not many, man. I mean, I remember going to a few, of course, and then I like always think of the fair now when I think of that old stadium. And then it makes me think of Freedom Hall, and then I start thinking of like hockey. I start thinking of River Frogs, Panthers, like stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't go to a ton of games, baseball games there.
But Broadbent, dude, that was a fun arena for River Frogs, man. Like, and if we had I don't even care if they're major or like a national hockey team. Like, I'd love to have a minor league hockey team again because Cincinnati has a team, the Cyclones. They do like dollar beer nights. It's a blast. Like, and they pack it in. There's kids from UC come in. You got people coming across the river. Those games are a lot of fun. And a baseball team that I want to check out, I drive past it all the time, is those the Yalls, the Florence
Yeah, Florence
Yalls
Jaws, yeah.
baseball team. Their mascot is the giant ass water tower. So pretty wild shit there. So something that I've never done, and have you ever considered doing it, is fantasy professional basketball?
Well, so that's a funny story. I don't know what I clicked, man, and I don't know what happened, but uh, I signed up through like Yahoo for like I guess it was like just a practice NBA draft,
Oh,
and
that's
I
cool.
couldn't figure out how to get out of it. It was like making me do it, and I think it got a bunch of people because it ended up signing up and it auto drafted. But then I got my team and I was like, man, my team's not half bad. And then all of a sudden I'm checking it and I'm like, this could be interesting. I don't know if I could commit to it. Maybe if we, got a bunch of our friends and stuff and they're like, yeah, let's do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to go against, trying to win something. I love the fantasy like competition stuff. But yeah, it was funny because I found myself like checking it and it seems wild, man, because you're like all the stats like rebounds, points, assists. You want to try to find those players that are all around, good. But yeah, that's about as far as I've gone with it. Have you?
No, I've never done it. It's something I've always wanted to do. I really follow NBA. It's the sport that I have the most success when it comes to like betting on. When and also just I love the Pacers. Love watching them. They're hot this year. Fourth in the East, and the Cavs team's been a lot of fun to watch. It's been dominating the East, which it's very rare for teams from that division to be doing so well, in the NBA. Out west, it's still kind of up in the air. Teams are even still playing for the play-in. I was very shocked today. I know this episode I'm going to be putting out in a few days, but I was shocked by the Nuggets coach getting fired.
Was just talking to a buddy about that before I hopped on here. Yeah, I it's kind of confusing. It makes you feel like something's going on behind the scenes. I mean, they're sitting at what, fourth in the West.
Yeah.
They have probably one, if not the best player in the world. They came off a championship, what, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and so it's a very odd situation. I'd be curious to see if there's anything that comes out over the next few days on why that took place. But yeah, I was kind of, and I'm a Lakers fan,
Mhm.
and so getting Luka, I was like, I had no. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're UK guys, and AD is cool, but if you have a chance to get Luka with being that prime of his age, like that's somebody that you can keep for a while. So it's been kind of cool to see how that's kind of transpired. Worry a little bit about the defense, but offensively, I know they're going to be pretty solid.
Oh yeah, and the West is up for grabs. I mean, Thunder look great. Lakers, definitely are going to be contending, and the Warriors, they look very solid as well. A lot of teams, with the Nuggets, they've had some downs, some losses, but it's kind of unique. Same situation in Memphis. Memphis is right there in the middle of the mix in the West, and they fired their coach. That culture there with the Grizzlies has always been kind of up in the air. There was already I've been following the NBA a lot this year, and they had like an in-team huddle fight between Desmond Bain and a player. Like it just seems like when there's some kind of culture conflict or some disturbance, it's a quick fire or it's a quick like let's move this player, let's get away from it. Something that's a big issue right now is the whole deal in Phoenix. They look awful. Players aren't really bonding with the coach. Kevin Durant, he wants to be out. He's not even playing in the game that I believe is tonight that could play for them to be in the play-in because they have such a horrible record. So, just a lot of if you really look at it, just a lot of wasted money. But then you see teams that haven't had tons of success, but like the Spurs, they got a bright future. I know Chris Paul can be around forever, but you got these young guys, Castle and Vassell, like which they rhyme, but they're in the mix. Houston Rockets look fantastic. I love what Houston's doing. They're a team that's been a sleeper all year, so I think it is going to be a West deal, but with Cleveland and Boston, the East still has some contenders there in the mix, and I'm hoping the Pacers can do some kind of run. But yeah, it's just unique, man. It's really unique, and I I also wanted to ask you your opinion. You know, how long do you see the LeBron Luca combo last, and do you see LeBron giving it a few more years? I mean, he's healthy enough to do it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, just from a spectator's point of view, I mean, like LeBron's definitely lost a step, but his game's different than it was, obviously even 5, 6 years ago. But like he puts so much money into taking care of his body, and um, I think that as we go along, we will continue to see the athletes that invest in the technology and the care of their body go longer and longer into maybe your 40s, early 40s,
Mhm.
um, playing. But he's kind of that first person in the basketball realm, starting from a high school player going to the NBA and playing as long as he had. I mean, the dude's still booming on people. It's like pretty impressive.
Yeah,
You can tell he picks his spots. When he's playing, he's done it so long. The body needs to be right for the playoffs, and he's not playing for regular season games. He's playing for championships. And I think that it's at least another year or two, having Luca there, or Luca having him rather, to see how important it is to take care of bodies. I think will help progress Luca's career in all the kind of hate that he's received with not taking care of his body properly.
yeah.
I think that having someone like LeBron to share, the right way to do it, and we'll see what happens from there. But you can already see. I mean, I don't know if you watched any of the games recently, or anybody that has. You can see that chemistry is already there, which is sometimes takes more than a year, and it's probably been a couple months.
Yeah.
So uh, I could see them doing some things together. Um, LeBron's not like all ball dominant. He can kind of um, facilitate a little bit more, whereas Luka likes to kind of have the ball. But I'm sure with JJ Redick there, like his offensive mind, you can get some sets going to where, and you've seen it in spurts for sure, where the Lakers are looking really good. And then Austin Reeves really gets a boost from that too, because there's a lot of pressure off him, and so he
I
can
heard
come down
Austin
and
Reeves' story today on the radio. Basically, he was talking about how there was 2 months of his rookie year or first year there in LA, and LeBron is just on his ass, like every game, every practice, just talking shit to him, telling him like, "Hey, you fucked up here." And he was getting mad, and it was making him like actually kind of unmotivated of like what's this dude's deal? Like, I'm pissed. But then he started realizing he's trying to make me better. So it did motivate him. And now I really consider, and just like this radio host I was talking about it, that, Austin Reeves is in that big three there with Luke and LeBron. I mean, he's putting up, huge numbers. He hits his PRA over, almost every time he's on the court. And I think he's just really, really become a stronger player too. I mean, he's definitely put on some muscle and, he does well. I think JJ Redick, I think he's really done well. He's done everything he said he was going to do. I think there was a lot of impatience, in the beginning because he was a media personality that, went on. Of course he played in the league, but I think that he's kind of shut the haters up, and but I also think that I think coaches, especially with that Denver fire today, everyone is seeing that my job's not safe. I mean, it's the same situation with Detroit's coach. The Pistons are a whole brand new team. Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, two huge superstars in Detroit, which is great for Detroit basketball. Devin Booker could possibly go to Detroit. But the thing that's really been crazy is like, that's another wild story. And you don't know everything behind the scenes, like you said earlier, but it's like Cleveland makes playoffs last year, dude gets canned. Now he's coaching the Pistons, turns the whole team around. But Cleveland also, they're one of the best teams in basketball. So it's crazy how shit moves around and does it. Jimmy Butler leaving. I thought no matter where he lands, he's gonna be a toxic, person. But it turned around. It seemed like he needed that in the Warriors. But yeah, let's talk in some photography. Let's talk about something that you've been pursuing as of late. So you do photos. You do photos of all sorts. You've done drone work. You've really really dived into the craft. So what first got you started in wanting to do that?
Yeah, man. Thanks for asking about that. Yeah, it's something I'm super passionate about. For me, and I'm pretty transparent in speaking about, but a big part of it was just mentally. I love teaching. I'm a teacher full time. When I first got into teaching, it was everything, and not that I still don't love it. I just felt like it wasn't all fulfilling for me, right? And so I've always been a creative person. I've dabbled in many different things, um, and I think I have an eye for something like photography. And so I was like, just kind of took the leap to check it out and started doing it, and just kind of went full in. And I was getting good feedback from it, and what I've realized with it is it's a huge part of really, you know, um, being confident within yourself, because I'm not necessarily doing the pictures to change the style to fit a certain person. I'm doing the pictures the way I want to do them. And if people appreciate that work, then they're going to gravitate towards my work just like they would gravitate towards another photographer that's doing it. And so I stick confidently like with my process. And as I continue to learn, like I think I've put together a portfolio that has my own style. And if you're feeling it, you reach out, and if you're not, then I don't really care. So that's kind of what initially got me drawn towards something that's just a creative outlet, um, and something that's been fulfilling for me for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. And so you've also ventured, like I mentioned, in drone work. Was that something that was self-teaching, or did you go to classes? Did you learn online? How was that process?
Yeah, man, kind of just use your resources. Something that's amazing about today is that you can go and teach yourself pretty much whatever you want to.
Mm.
Between YouTube, Chat GPT, if you're passionate about it, the resources are there for us, right?
Yeah.
And so it really is, what styles do you gravitate towards? And kind of like athletes do, we've talked a lot about athletes today. It's like picking pieces from people that have came before us and learning like, hey, I like that. How did they do that? Let's explore that. And then you put your little twist on it. Dude, I'll tell you this. initially it's the photography, but the videography side of it has been something that's really exciting. It is a whole new and different realm, and the challenges are on it can be sometimes overwhelming in a good way. But I have fallen in love with the craft and figuring out how to make decent videos and like decent pictures, and has my stuff gotten better, and just patient with the process of learning that. And it's something that is transitioned in, and allowed me to have that in my life and have that in my teaching. And then I can teach my students, you know, if you want something, you can go get it, but it's not something that's just going to be given to you. You have to work at it. And we live, sometimes in a society where if you don't have it now, it's really easy to give up if you don't have that support. So that just self-belief and trusting the process and trusting your skills are really going to take you far. So all that stuff, man, is it's been nice. And then just like finding a cool ass song to go with a video can be a game changer, or just the angle and the light manipulation of certain shots, and within photography and video, both have been such a cool process. I don't know if I ended up telling you or if you saw it, but I just got a brand new gimbal from DJI, and it's the RS Mini 4, and it allows my camera to have like stabilization, and it's just sick. It's hard to kind of explain without showing you, but it allows me to do all the angles and keep a level plane when I'm shooting these shots. So I'm excited to do some stuff with that this summer, and put out some cool projects.
Hell yeah! So what do you what all other equipment do you use? What are the brands that you're really would I guess recommend to somebody, or you recommend
Oh
yourself
yeah,
using?
yeah, man. So a camera body is really up to you. The lenses are a big part of it. So like, I think one thing when I was doing a lot of research, people will make mistakes on wanting or thinking they need to upgrade their camera body, which isn't always the case. It's sometimes just comes down to the proper lens and how you use it. I have a Sony A6100. It's a really good beginner camera if you like Sony's. The greens really pop well. And then like if you're thinking about lenses that you need, a lot of times you can get with these kit lenses, which are okay, but like a prime lens, like 50, the Sony A6100 is a mirrorless camera. So like it's really solid. And I mean, I've had a blast getting to do it. I've been tempted with the videography side. There's this one, it's a Sony A7 III or A7S3. It's like $3,500. It's insane. Um, but the video on it is just crazy. And that might be something I work up to one day, but this will take me a long ways. And in the meantime, I can build my lens, you know, I can get a ton of that stuff, and that can transfer over to a new camera. So like if you get a lens and the mount's the same, to hook to your camera, you can, if I stick with Sony, I can use that in my next camera, and I'm not like wasting money. So really that's my biggest advice, is just like, if you're starting out and you have a camera, is invest more into the lens than just the body of the camera. You don't always need just a new body or a new camera right away.
What are three lessons that you think you've taught yourself since day one to where you're at now with it? Like, what are three things that you've evolved on or changed that you've just seen through the process, through the journey?
I'd say, I mean, one is the patience. The patience in giving yourself grace of, because you've known me for a long time. I'm extremely tough on myself. I want things to be perfect. I want things to be great, and so sometimes that can be a good and bad thing. So the first thing is definitely patience. Second thing is just putting in the work. I don't with just taking a picture is one thing. The editing is a whole nother thing. And so, you know, I have to practice that and continue to learn how to use some of these tools. I don't want my photos to look fake, overly edited. I want them to have a natural look to it. So it's just figuring out how to make those smooth minor changes without manipulating the photo a ton or the video. Um, and I'd say lastly is, I don't know, just having fun with it.
Hmm.
Like it kind of goes at the first one, but just not being so hard on myself and allowing it to be an outlet for creativity and not turn into something crazy. I mean, down the road, who knows what it could be? Obviously, I made it an official business, but it's more of a side hustle right now with still continuing to teach. But um, I've been extremely blessed to have a lot of networking opportunities to practice and have support, which has allowed it to be a fun time. And there might not be a ton of profit money wise in some situations, but I know that those opportunities will lead to those possibilities like down the road. So yeah, and you mentioned earlier, man, like I had a plan to originally just try to do as many things as possible with it to see really what I love doing. And most of the time I love doing just events. I
Hmm.
love like going to events and not having to pose people, all the time, because that can be stressful, families and stuff. It's not that it's not fun, but it's just people get super, all your insecurities can come out when you're behind the camera or like you're getting your picture taken, right? And so it's my job to comfort and give you confidence. And so sometimes that can be a little bit stressful because you're just like wanting people to understand like it's okay, like, and things that they see you're not necessarily seeing, so you want to be like conscious of that. um but yeah, man, just everything that's involved with it. um Events have been fun just because you catch people doing their natural things, those natural smiles, those natural reactions. um those are the more fun things to do for me.
Do you feel like there are any subjects or things that you would like to do in the future? I know you mentioned events and stuff like that, but I'm mentioning like maybe like animal shots or a certain model. Or is there anything you have goal wise that you like to achieve with it?
Well, if you know me, I'm obsessed with my dog. And so
Yeah.
luckily I have always a great opportunity. And if you go on my page, you'll usually see at least a few pictures of him. Um, Go to the dog park, take pictures. So from an animal standpoint, I think it would be neat to be able to go to some of these national parks and get pictures of or just in parks, and get pictures of wildlife. I don't have the equipment that I would want to, do that with. So that's something I need to work up to. Um, Goal wise, though, I would say, for me, um, I know you're familiar with like Murphy's, like cameras, like
Oh
the
yeah.
the the business. They have some shops. One of them I saw they have is being able to go to Churchill Downs. It's like $100,
Hmm.
and they take you in the morning when the horses are kind of getting trained, and you have the opportunities to take pictures there at Churchill Downs. I really would like to do that this summer
Yeah,
and
that'd be
just kind
cool.
of have an opportunity to do something different with that. Some music events I would love um, to get some cool shots, band wise or even just outside using the drone.
Mm.
Um, Events like that, like music festivals where you can see the crowd, you can see the artists with all the light shows and smoke going on. You can get some really cool shots that way. So that's another thing that I would want to get into for sure.
And with the drone, just to ask you a few questions about that. So overall, I mean, how far can you see on that thing? I mean, if you get it all the way up, I mean, is there a mile range or how's that viewed?
So there is, it might be national. I know it's like state wise. I think I want to say it's 400 feet if I'm going off the top of my head, um, that you can go up because of of airplanes and aircraft situations. Like for instance, I'm kind of in an area where Bowman Field's pretty close. So we have that kind of airport that's semi-close. So I always have to go in and put in for approval to be able to fly. But I mean, can you take those off and fly them higher? Yes, you can. Could you get in trouble for that? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So I try to stay within that. But the drone that I have is a DJI as well, and it's the Mini 3 Pro, and it has the camera screen on the actual controller.
Mhm.
So I have a good view. A lot of it depends on how you want to fly. Like if you're looking at it, it's easier, I think, to look at it and navigate than it is to look at the screen sometimes and navigate. But the technology is insane, man. They have so many sensors on it. You really, it's hard to crash if you're using all the things that it comes with. So, yeah, man, that's another thing, dude. Is just flying that. It's a little bit different, with all the flights that you can do, with all the different styles you can do. But yeah, man, it's fun to learn. I did a lot of those. Like I did some pool videos when we've had parties here. I've done some concerts with the drone, um, and so I would love to go. Asheville is one of my favorite spots. I'd love to take the Jeep up there and get it hooked on to where I can get some cool shots of like driving through the mountains with the mountains in the background.
Yeah.
And I think that would be some epic shots on the drone.
Have you ever thought about doing any sports shooting, like just going out and shooting some like games, or talking to any like getting a press pass or anything? I just was curious. Was that ever an idea?
Yeah, so I'm a teacher and photography wise, I've just to give the students some fun stuff, and it also helps me with practice. When I first started doing the photography, I would go to a couple games of like each sport, and then I would just give the students the free photos because they loved it. I mean, they're not looking, they're just pumped to see them in action. Like it's a profile picture for them. So I just try to like give back to them because they deserve it. And like I said, it also helps me. So I've taken soccer photos, football. I've gone to volleyball, basketball. Drone wise, I haven't done too much with that. I did do like some drone video um, for a polo match, with horses and stuff. So like that's cool. And I plan on, now that I know a little bit more, doing that again this year and actually putting out like a promo video for that. And that's another cool thing, man. The networking wise, like I mentioned before, is like doing a video like that doesn't take a lot of time for me. I'm confident enough with it to get the shots I need to. And then I send it to them. And sometimes that can lead to, um, you know, a free ticket next year or like a potential job opportunity. So you just continue to put out your good work and show that you spend time on it in quality. I think society tends to give back to you. So
Oh, 100%. Networking is so important. And talking about polo, what is kind of the aspect of polo? I mean, I know it's like a gentleman's game. You know, they're on the horses and they're hitting it with the mallet. And I mean, is there a goal? I mean, what's the scoring like?
dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm still trying to figure that out. Um, I just go for the vibes, honestly. But yes, it is very, I guess, exquisite, as you would say, right? I know that they're playing. When we've gone this summer, these horses and jockeys are, every few minutes you're bringing in subs, like new horses because they're running constantly. But the goal is to try to hit the ball with like a mallet type like hammer through the area, and it's worth a point, I guess. I don't know. I'd have to really focus on it, and I still have that book for you. I don't think I've gotten it to you, but I still have that polo book from last year, and it has a lot of the rules in it. But I'll have to get back to you when I go this year. I'll make sure to pay a little bit more attention. But when the drinks are flowing and the food's good, you're just kind of there for the views. I will say this is the most unique and cool thing that they do, and I'm pretty sure it's universal. They call it the stomping of the divots. and at halftime or between games, they pull up with like a champagne truck. They serve champagne out to everybody. And as you're walking around drinking your champagne, you're literally just stomping on the divots that the horses have made. And it's
Yeah.
just like, what a wild thing. It's like, hey, we're going to do this like free labor. We'll just give these people booze and, they'll do the work for us. You just want to make sure you're stomping on a divot and not, something else like
Yeah.
horse
So
shit. but yeah, that's the one thing that's most memorable with that is, um, you know, something like that. I mean, I don't know any other sport that does that. So that's kind of cool. You feel part of it.
how many people attended that event?
Tons of tents and tons of vendors. I mean, it's not like, I'm not sure at like professional levels or how that works, but, if you're listening to this and you're familiar with that field right off the expressway, you might have seen the Oxmoor Farms and like where they play. They do like an amazing job, like keeping that grass like immaculate. It's like Augusta National. I mean, it's crazy how nice the grass is over there, but it's lined all on that one side of tents and chairs, and you're just kind of casually sitting there. But I'd say at least 300 to 400 people could be in that area.
Wow, that is interesting because
Yeah, that's wild.
it's definitely a sport just not too familiar with. Water polo as well. That's another interesting one. I remember I had neighbors growing up, and they had like a croquet set, and then I always got confused like it's croquet polo, and then
No, for sure.
cricket is a whole nother sport which I love watching that. If I can ever catch it on TV, like Pakistan versus Sri Lanka, or if I'm DoorDash and I'm at Shalimar, they always got cricket on. So I'm always like trying to check it out. I have no clue with the scoring, but these guys are catching crazy balls in the outfield and hitting the thing with this big wooden stick. But the thing about it that you see, just like you're saying with polo, the crowd, it's a vibe. I mean, going to a cricket match overseas looks like it is a party, like it's Super Bowl. And so it's just interesting how sports are taken in and how groups and crowds go. Like watching that Japanese series with the Dodgers and Cubs, it's like that was like the Super Bowl over there. And so it's just super cool. I love seeing countries and, the United States and just any countries, combining on something. That's why I always get into the Olympics and watching these FIBA games and stuff. It's just really cool to see that combination. So what are your thoughts on Kentucky's future with football and basketball? I mean, are you excited about Pope in the future, and then with Stoops? I mean, you still believing in him?
Yeah, man. I mean, I was just talking to a buddy about this too. It's like, did for a second there, it's like, man, football was kind of almost more exciting than basketball, and then football had that kind of bad year, and then basketball's been kind of weird, and you're looking at a guy like Pope, where I think originally people were like, I don't know about this. We could have gotten this guy at any point, and I think that for the most part, people are pretty pleased with that first season. At least I am. Football is kind of put up or shut up time, in my opinion. I mean, Stoops is a pretty high paid coach. I think he's a top 10 paid coach. In college football, he's
Mm-hmm.
at an SEC school where it's obviously super competitive, but I think we just need to get back to that, like that kind of just like in your mouth, like underdog. We're not going after all these like guys that normally wouldn't come here. We just need some dogs.
We need that Waka
And
Flocka Grove Street
yeah,
party.
we need the fourth quarter Waka Flocka Grove Street vibe. And I think that's what he's trying to get back to. So we'll see what happens this next year. The schedule looks brutal again.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see what we can do. I don't get too happy or too sad about college, UK college football, because usually when I get too happy, it disappoints me. But if I don't get too sad, we do all right. So I try to stay kind of even with that. Basketball, though, man, we're getting a lot of recruits in. The transfer portal is such a weird thing. I don't know how sustainable that is for like long term, because it's the wild, wild west out there. It's cool to get some of these players, but there's no loyalty. I don't think that, and I know, I don't know if you're going to transition to this, but, looking at the bracket this year, there's a reason, in my opinion, that it was mostly chalk.
Yeah.
And it's because a lot of these guys that were at these Cinderella schools left to go to bigger schools over the past couple of years. We had maybe a couple upsets, but we didn't have really any teams that weren't supposed to be there in the tournament this year. Like Final Four was pretty chalk. It was about as chalk as it can be.
Oh yeah.
And those were probably the four, best teams that were in college basketball this year. So, yeah, man, basketball is going to be interesting. I like his philosophy. There's a couple times where I'm like, man, get on their ass.
Yeah.
He's so nice,
Yeah.
and I like that he's calm like that. But there's just a couple times where I want to see him pissed off.
Oh yeah.
There's just a couple
Like
times, but
Tennessee and a few of these higher competitor games, you just saw him more laid back. I get a little frustrated. I got frustrated with him in Mississippi State game. He just seemed like he's kind of let things flow when he could have stepped up. But I like him. I believe in him. I'm with you though. There is real no loyalty. I do say with the transfer portal, we're doing well. Landing that kid from Tulane, landing that guy from Alabama, which brings size and can shoot the three. It's huge, and I think it's important. You got to start early, and you got to play the system because everybody else is playing the system. And March Madness, I'm right there with you. No shockers. I picked Florida before it all, and I just kind of saw the writing on the wall with that team. SEC was a powerhouse, and so you won your bracket. You said with the one you played in, correct?
yeah, man, I was either win all or lose all this year.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, man. I had Florida, like a lot of people do. It seemed like Duke and Florida and a little bit of Auburn were a lot of the common. The path to get there was just crazy. Even though you expected them to get there, like Florida against Texas Tech, I it just was. I blinked and all of a sudden they're down 9, and then all of a sudden they're up and they win the game. They barely get past UConn, and so you're like, man, is Florida, in my opinion, is the best team, but are they playing the best right now? And then for me, it was Duke looked so good. And yeah, it came down to my bracket to where I had to have it perfect for the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
Like it had to be Florida versus Houston. And so to see Houston come back against Duke, I was like, man, like this is insane. And dude, if you could have seen me last night on my couch, I mean, don't tell any of my friends, but I'm like, I'm doing the Gator Chomp. I'm like in it, I'm screaming because it's such a sweat. So like, I love March Madness. It's probably my favorite time of year. And then like brackets, and when you have something you're playing for, when your team's out, it gives you something to continue to kind of like invest in.
Oh yeah.
So there's nothing exciting or more exciting than something like that. But yeah, I submitted 4 brackets and I did them all the same, and they all hit. They all won. I won like 301. I won like 100 and like a hat and a polo and another. And then at my apartment, I won a 4-day pass to Burn and Beyond.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
So it was loaded, man. I loved it. This is back-to-back years winning it, and so at that point, to me, it's like, is it luck anymore, or am I onto something? Maybe I'll start a gig
Yeah.
to where people start coming to me. I'll start charging people to pick their bracket. So I told my apartment, I was like, man, I'm ready for the three-peat already. Like I'm ready to go again next year. So
Oh, dude, when you repeat on anything, it feels so good, and that's like with fantasy football, it's such a good feeling when I've won in the past. It just playing that whole season, and it's like what you want to play for, and like in Lopez's league, last year winning that, I felt so good, but then even this year not winning, but still placing any kind of money, like getting your money back, it just a good feeling of like a win. It just feels good. But I was shocked too about college basketball this year, the way Florida played the whole March Madness, because like Clayton Jr. going over 30 points almost every game, and then the national championship game, you don't even have a point for a while.
dude, Houston's defense was amazing. They definitely let them play in the first half, though. I mean, I was like, man, these people are getting hacked. Like down low was brutal, and they kept blitzing, on those pick and rolls. So it didn't really give a chance for Walter Clayton. He had aside from turning the ball over, he had some really good assists though when he was not losing control of the ball. But all those turnovers, I was like, damn, this is a Houston game, and like a lot of the analysts said, I agree. It's like for 39 minutes, that was a pretty Houston game. It was kind of messy on the defensive end. Offensively, Florida wasn't really executing, and I don't think anybody's really seen Florida play a Houston style game. So it's like Florida's known for their offense and putting up points, and can they be stopped? To me, a better version of Alabama. A little more depth, a little more discipline. But when they started turning the ball over and they're down 12, I'm like, this might get out of hand. So for them to chip away and come back like they did all tournament, some of those games probably really, the coach probably reminded them like, hey, we've been here before and let's see what we can do. And not getting a shot up by Houston was crazy. I mean, like it's clear once it got down to like 10 seconds, they were going to go for the win. I think they thought if this goes into a tie, Florida is probably going to continue, so they're like, let's go for a win. And defense stepped up but like sweating that, man, it's like I go from not even probably placing in my bracket if Houston wins
Yeah.
to winning everything if Florida wins. That's like crazy, So yeah, I was pretty pumped about it. I mean, I'm done being a Florida fan now. I appreciate them, but now it's back on to everything UK.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh hell yeah. I mean, you want to get the dub and then go back to the loyal team that you've been loyal to. No, congratulations on that. Yeah, Florida, powerful team, and that last play there for Houston. That coach, you could just see it in his face, and you could just, you felt for those guys, but you got to get the shot up, no matter what, anything can happen in college basketball. But, dude, I just want to tell you, thanks for being on. It was a blast. I've been wanting to have you on, and I'm glad we finally got to connect. I wanted to, before we sign off, I want you to be able to tell people how can they get in contact with you, do photography, or just reach out.
Yeah, man. Again, appreciate you having me. Been a supporter of you on and off of this podcast, and so just happy to see you continue to kill it
Thanks,
and
bro.
do
I appreciate
something that you're extremely passionate about. Yeah, social media wise, I don't use Facebook as much, but it's Trevor Powell Photography. Trevor Powell Photos on my Instagram is how you can follow me on there. If you like the work, you can reach out to me. And if you're a friend of mine or Eric's, I can always hook you up with a good discount, of course. But that's pretty much it, man. Like everything else, if you want to follow my Wagner PE page, you can do that too. I'm always posting some good stuff on there.
Oh yeah, dude. No, you've been doing some big things there, dude. And shout out to Zeke, your dog.
Yeah.
He's been a good boy the whole show. So shout out to Zeke. He's been a good friend there over the years for both of us. He's a great.
7, man. He's 7 years old. It's crazy. You knew him when he was 8 weeks old. So
Oh yeah, yeah. He used to watch a lot of MLB The Show matches, dude. Still there,
for
like,
sure.
oh man, they're playing again. But hey, dude, again, thanks for being on. This is season 6, episode 19. Got a couple more episodes coming out. Vibingwithsleazy.com, Vibing with Sleazy the podcast, Facebook, Instagram. Again, thank you all for the support and love. I am out. Peace.